Sam, let me ask you about position groups. And I'm typically not if I had to pick, I always want to pick people closer to the ball
Mhm.
for more impact, right? O line, D line, quarterback. Is there a group right now that you wouldn't mind taking the position of leadership that is not offensive or defensive line related?
Um, well, yeah, quarterback, and then you always want your linebackers to be sort of the quarterbacks of your defense, or one of the safeties. Sometimes it's a safety, so it could be Singleton or Buford, but you want your linebackers to be in a good spot and to be able to run that defense accordingly. I think John Bullock and Nick Henrich, not Chris Hickman, Nick Henrich and Luke Reimer did that for the last couple of years, and I'm sure that they want either Marquise Watson Tran or Vincent Shavers or Javen Wright to be that. So Javen's really sharp. He's an older guy. I think he's one of the older players on the team. It'd be good to see him, kind of take that defense under his wing and say, between me and Deshaun and Marquise Buford, we're the oldest guys on the team. And, we're going to take this thing where we want it to go. And I came back. I think Javen's got a really compelling story. He didn't have to, he could have retired from football and everybody would have understood, but he didn't. And so, like, he has a really compelling story of like, I could have walked away and I didn't walk away. And here I am, and I want to be part of the rise. And so he's a guy that I think about. Singleton, Buford, they both could have moved on. They decided to come back. Those are probably the players that you're thinking about. I'll be curious to see if Javen gets a single digit jersey. That's coming up here real soon. And I've, and this is on me as a reporter. I'm still not entirely sure how Vincent Shavers ended up with one. He did, but that happened like last year. Jamari Butler left, and I guess Shavers got it. I guess the defense decided he was the one who got it. So I don't know. I'm not sure how that happened, but those single digits will be up again this week, right? And so, right?
Yeah.
And so I
Yep.
think, yeah, I mean, Dylan's probably going for one. Emmett's probably going for one. Dane Key's probably going for one. Obviously, the offensive
There's a
lineman
lot
can't
that
have
goes
them.
into it, right? Off-season leadership,
Yeah.
off-season attendance, off-season work ethic. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a peer vote.
Yeah.
If the
Yeah.
coaches truly stay, I mean, because I'm not going to act like we said, "Oh, hey, it's up to the players," and then we didn't. Well, that may not be the best
Yeah.
idea.
It's hard.
So
It's
it's
hard
like
to know, right? Yeah.
if it's all peer driven, I think it's interesting.
So,
I
like, who's going to get zero is up, right? So Nash Hutmacher was zero, wasn't he? I
Yep.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ty Robinson was
Well, it was an O
9.
lineman's first. Whose was it first? And he couldn't wear it.
Is it Banks?
No.
No, it was Piper,
Yep.
Oh,
I
yep.
think,
Yep. Yep.
in 23.
Yep.
And so 4 is Banks, and so he's gone. And 9 is Robinson. That's available. And then I mean, I think 1 is up for grabs. I understand that Vincent Shavers has that, but I have to think that if Dylan's able to get it, he would want it. That would be my hunch.
Hmm.
So, um, I know Shavers was sort of bequeathed it in the bowl. Bequeathed is the wrong word.
I,
He was given it.
Yeah.
Butler didn't pass on. He just went to LSU where he's going to be pretty good, I think. But Butler apparently gave it to him. I don't know. We need to ask about how that happened, but the single digit will that number 1 is still in play because I think that was Butler's, and so 1-0-6. I think that was Tommy Hill, and 9. I think those are all in play,
yeah,
right?
because
It's
Singleton and
what
Buford are 8 and 3.
Hmm.
I imagine if they get,
who is
I don't know. Do you get them the next year? Or do you have to re-earn them? I
I
can't
think
even
you have to
remember.
re-enter them because they revote
well,
every
you got to
ten,
re-earn them,
right?
but my point being that like if they re-earn them, they're not going to go. Well, now I'd like to be 6. Like
Yeah.
Right.
just stay 8. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Is that I suspect 3, 7, and 8 will stay the same, and I don't
Well,
know.
five's got it. Five's open
Yeah.
with
So
with my
zero
guy
one
gone.
Yep. Yep.
0, 1, 2, 5, 0, 1, 2, 4, 5, 9. And I think 1 is open. Now it's, it's possible Shavers gets a different single digit, but
Yeah.
I don't know that he's going to be able to just say, hey, this is mine because I got it last year if Dylan wants it. And that presumes Dylan would get one. And I think Dylan might. I think he's put in a lot of work. And I also think, players very much want to line up behind him. I think they're like, all right, man, this is your team and you're doing some good things in camp. And I would be surprised if Dylan had a single person on the team that didn't like him. I mean, he's such a likable, nice guy. So I think he's probably got universal approval. That isn't always, sometimes you want your quarterback to be at about 87% approval. You want him to be like, you want 13% of the team to think he's kind of a jerk because you want them to understand that the standard that the quarterback holds everybody else to is so high that it kind of pisses you off. And there's guys that are like, I just don't want to. I don't like that guy. He's too hard on me. He's too demanding. Who is he to say that? And that's. But you want it to be really high. But I'm guessing there were times when when Peyton Manning wasn't universally loved, or Tom Brady wasn't universally loved, or see again, Patrick Mahomes is probably 100% approval rating, don't you think, among his teammates?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever rubbed anybody the wrong way. So, if Mahomes is the model, then there you go. Like, I don't think Mahomes has probably ever upset anybody among his teammates. And I don't think Lamar Jackson has either. Maybe he has. I don't know. But so, I think Dylan's got 100% approval among his teammates, which is probably a good thing in college. You don't really want to have anybody who doesn't like you. I'm just saying that if it's 87%, that means 13% of the guys are just maybe being held to a higher standard than they'd prefer by one of their teammates, and that's never a bad thing.
Sam, let me get you out in this last one for me. Is there a position group that you think, or player that you think is most likely to change from what we see in Kansas City and not necessarily have it be a bad thing? Because of a bad thing, I should say.
Right.
Because that's a different question.
Yeah, the secondary is probably going to change as the season goes on. I think you're going to see, and we talked about this, you have an opportunity to play some young guys who are able to play and are almost just as good as the seniors right now, and will alleviate some of the pressure of having to use guys when they're banged up or when, they played 3 drives in a row. So I think over the course of the year, you're going to see more defensive backs play than you're probably expecting. The level of play will not probably dip. I do think that their top 2 corners, Sierra Wright and Andrew Marshall, are good. But I think if Donovan Jones is at corner, now that, Bly Hill is hurt, I think he's going to be very good there. I think Sierra Wright's got good backups too. I think they're going to be in a good position in the secondary. So I think that's going to grow. I think you're going to see new safeties. I think you're going to see Caleb. And you're going to see Rex Guthrie, and you're going to see some other guys that I think can play the game. They're young. They may not start in Kansas City. They probably won't, but over time they'll play. And you'll reduce some of the wear and tear on a guy like Malcolm Hartzog, who's been banged up, I think, kind of every year and just played through
So
it.
this is the first year he actually feels healthy, man. I love his smile. He's a super kid. Or young man.
He's great. He's a great story, too.
I love him.
I'm not sure he's ever complained. I think he's done nothing but play hard since he got here. And yeah, he's an incredible story. And then the receiver position, I think now some of the young guys are already going to play, but if people think it's going to be Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter and Ja'Cory Barney and that's all it's going to be, no. They're going to play other guys. Yeah. And Cortez Mills is going to play, and Keelan Smith's going to play, and Quinn Clark's going to play, and and Isaiah Hunter is probably the most physically gifted in some ways of all of them, because of his size, but he has to be consistent. And if he's not consistent, then he isn't going to play as much. And so, now again, Quinn Clark's a unique athlete. He's got a unique profile. I appreciate a lot of things about his game for sure.
Man, Quinn's pretty sweet, man. All bias aside, that dude, he's pretty good.
Yes. Yeah.
He's pretty good.
I would just say again that you get over a certain height as a receiver, and you get up into that 6'4" and 6'5" range, and you just absorb a lot. And you know, the receivers in the NFL that are 6'5" are usually about 240 pounds. They're Calvin Johnson type or Kelvin Benjamin. You know, they're huge guys. And so sometimes they're tight and sometimes they convert to tight end. And so, you know, Quinn may have to put on some weight, but like Hunter's really talented. It's obvious that he is. That's clear. And he's tough, but he's got to be consistent. So I think, you know, if you're going to tell me right now, well, who's the guy that's going to end up with the most catches on the team? Well, maybe it's Dan Key, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's Barney again. Maybe, and Raiola said that. You guys are sleeping on Ja'Cory Barney. He said that in Las Vegas. But maybe you have 6 guys with 20 or more catches. And that's been a long time since it's happened. You know, let's say for argument's sake that it's Hunter and it's Key and it's Elon Smith and it's Quinn Clark and it's Barney. That's 5. And then who's your 6? Well, it could be Johnson. It could be Lindenmeyer. It could be another receiver. You know, we'll just have to see. So I think those are the 2 positions where in a good way, you're going to see positive things happen. And then we've already talked about ring bets, but the reality is those guys are going to play in the first half of the first game. So they're going to play. Emmett Johnson's probably going to start, and he's probably going to keep that so long as he stays healthy. But the other 2 guys are going to play in the first half of the first game. So I honestly think that picture could remain the same all season long. Whereas I think the secondary and the receiver cores could change over time, and you could see young guys get more playing time as the season goes on.
I like it. That's Sam McKewon of the Omaha World Herald joining us today on Hurrdat Sports Live. Sam, appreciate your time, and we'll talk with you again next time.
Thanks, Sam.
Take care.